Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they truly hold up. I'm Chase, and I'm kicking the ball around today with Andrew and Kyle. Andrew, did you watch the World Cup final?
Yeah, I did. I sat on the couch and I viewed it from start to finish.
You viewed it.
And it happened.
Were you happy that Spain won?
It. I didn't realize how hated Argentina was. I was cheering for Argentina for selfish purposes because I had money on them to win the entire thing. It would have been a decent payout, nothing crazy, but I had money on it. And then there was a little draft challenge with one of my fantasy football, American football, leagues that it was dependent on Argentina going as far as possible. So if they had won, I would have advanced or finished higher than what I did. But whatever, Spain won. They were a better team, and Argentina acted like fucking pricks through most of the game, and especially at the end. So I think
their fans really showed their ass a little bit. But we do have some Argentine listeners, so we apologize. But we also have some Spanish listeners, too. So congratulations, our Spanish listeners, for your second World Cup. Kyle, what about you? Did you watch the World Cup at all? What are your thoughts on Spain winning their second World Cup?
I was pretty happy with it. I mean, they just neutered Messi and the whole Argentinian, procrastination scoring, which was driving me up a fucking wall. Was it's a good strategy waiting for the first team to not waiting for the first team to score, but like knowing if they score, cool, let them go ahead like England did and shit the bed, and they put out a whole bunch of substitutions and beef up their defense, knowing that they can just park out in the goalpost and just like let Messi make magic happen. It was getting really fucking annoying. So I'm really glad that a team that had a lot more defense and like a much better defense actually came through in the end and showed them the fucking door. And I don't mind Messi. I mind the other players, and I'm not an Argentinian fan whatsoever for multiple reasons. I was really just happy to see them eat shit and like extra time. It was a good game, but Spain deserved that win the entire time. Argentina.
Spain was a far better team from top to bottom.
They were a much better team. Agreed.
Yeah.
The defense was the shining point, but their offense, they were spending a lot of time in Argentina's goal box and on their side of the field, and their possession was far higher. So I was like, this is an actual game I can get behind. And your stupid fucking, strategy of let Messi carry the fucking team doesn't work out when the rest of your team can't fucking stand up to a 6'3" defender who's just as fast as you are. Eat shit.
You take Messi off that Argentina squad and
nothing.
They probably lose. I mean, I would say they for sure lose to Cape Verde, but
easily,
then again, they wouldn't probably even be. They probably wouldn't even be in that position. They would have had probably a loss in one of the group stages, or at least a draw. And you take a legendary player like Messi off any team, they're not going to be the same, but truly, they were nothing without him.
The Spanish defense, to Kyle's point, too, has played incredible through the entire World Cup.
They gave up, what, two goals the entire World Cup?
Something like that. They just smother you. It's kind of like the German defense in 2014, if anybody remembers that team, where it's not the most fun thing to watch, but it's impressive from a technical standpoint on how they played the game. But we talk about the end of the World Cup because we watched kicking and screaming. But, guys, I have a surprise for you on today's show. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I hear it's happening. You're doing it.
So I have something to read for you guys. So do you know how our I guess my address is tagged to our website, so it's easy to find? I got this letter today to the host and production team of the Hold Up Podcast. Dear Hold Up Podcast team, this correspondence serves as a formal notice regarding the unauthorized and misleading representation that Kirkland Signature is an official sponsor, partner, and affiliated with the Hold Up Podcast. It has recently come to our attention that repeated statements have been made during podcast readings and recordings and promotional discussions suggesting that Kirkland Signature provides financial support, sponsorship, endorsement, or other considerations to your program. While we appreciate your enthusiasm for the Kirkland signature brand, including your apparent discussion and dedication to bulk purchasing, value-driven customer decision-making, and explicitly large quantities of household goods, no sponsorship agreement, partnership arrangement, or endorsement relationship currently exists between Kirkland Signature and Hold Up Podcast. Accordingly, you are hereby directed to immediately cease and desist from representing
We got a
Kirkland.
cease and desist. Let's fucking go.
Representing Kirkland Signature as an official sponsor of the Hold Up Podcast, using Kirkland Signature name in a manner that may reasonably imply an endorsement or business relationship, making statements suggesting that podcast operation, production cost, equipment purchases, or related expenses also are supported by Kirkland Signature. It says, we recognize that these statements appear to have been made in humorous content. However, the frequency and confidence with which Kirkland Signature has been identified as a sponsor has created unnecessary confusion among listeners. We request written confirmation within 10 business days acknowledging that all references to Kirkland Signature sponsorship has been discontinued. Nothing contained herein shall be interpreted as a waiver of any rights or remedies available. Sincerely, Corporate of Legal Affairs at Kirkland Signature Brand.
What? Okay. You're not fucking with us, right? This is real. This is an actual cease and desist.
This is a cease
from
and
our dear
desist letter.
friends at Kirkland Signature.
They're no longer dear
Why?
friends, Andrew. We can't mention that anymore. What, did you not? Do I need to reread the letter?
That was said in humorous tone. Okay, that was humorous tone, as they implied, as they alluded to. I want to understand what tipped them off to this. How did they know about this? Who went to them? Who relayed to the fact? Yes, I want to know.
I don't have the answer for you there. I mean,
our beautiful, wonderful podcast is in over 790 cities and 92 countries. That's a beautiful celebration right there. We have power, everybody. And guess what, guys? I know you're upset by losing Kirkland, but I do actually have a real sponsor for us.
Oh?
Instead of being on the Kirkland Signature hotline, you are now on the SoundSpace hotline. That sounds even better, doesn't it?
Space hotline.
Our friends over at SoundSpace actually love and support our show. So SoundSpace Atlanta is your premier destination for musical lessons. That's right. If you are in the Atlanta area, find SoundSpace and their crew over there. They offer private lessons from guitar to bass, beginner keyboard lessons, and ukulele even. Andrew, you've always wanted to play the ukulele.
I tried.
Okay, from your first guitar riff, your bass groove, your ukulele strum, or beginner keyboard melody, they craft each lesson around what excites you. All of the lessons are only $150 a month for weekly 30-minute sessions. So you can go to their website, soundspaceatlanta.com. They will take care of you there, and just let them know the people at Hold Up brought you there. We actually have a sponsor now, and one that probably won't send us a cease and desist letter.
That's amazing. Thank you, SoundSpace. Y'all, we're on board with that. Y'all are friends, and we will be great partners through and through. But I just want to revisit this Kirkland Signature thing for a second. I can't believe that you received that. Do you really have to respond? Can you ignore it? Like, what are our repercussions here?
I
No,
don't
you
I
don't
don't
ignore it. You have to respond.
I don't
But
know if
I
don't know if we can discuss it on the podcast anymore. I don't know what this looks like. I don't know what repercussions I'm going to get for reading that on the podcast, but here we are.
Well,
we'll
it's interesting when you split hairs like we've split, because I think the thing that's gotten lost is that we've been speaking about, and again, spelling might be an issue here, but CIRCLUND and then Signature, SINATURE products. So I don't know if there's confusion with that, but like,
Thank you for the clarification.
Signature
there, Kyle.
products.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't really know where this is kind of coming from. There is a store near and dear to Andrew and I's heart in Lincoln, Indiana, that started this craze off. Shout out to St. Nick's Lodge, and they're a great place. And this is where this came from. It's an idea in the back of our head to make a giant bulk store to work with at some point under the name and flagship of CIRCLUND Signature SINATURE, which we have been saying ad nauseum. And also have wanted the board members of another large retail chain to
Sam's
hop
Club.
on board with. Yes. So it's interesting that we received that. I think, if I'm understanding this right, Chase, this other legal team that reached out to you, KIRKLAND and then SIANGATURE, if that's how it's spelled, honestly, I think you might be reading into it too much. You might be thinking you're bigger than your britches, because that's not what we were talking about. So,
well, someone's obviously listening.
I don't really know.
In the
I
Kirkland,
don't really-
Washington area.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I don't think that's what we were talking about, but we'll have to abide by your cease and desist since we can't afford to get slapped lawsuit into oblivion. However, your cowardice has shown,
And our pockets are deep.
Yes, so we at this time are unable to accept it just simply because of the fact that that's not who we were talking about. We're
Not at
talking
all.
about, again, if you looked at it phonetically, it'd be spelled Sursland, but the way that we say it is Kirkland Signature Products. So, yeah, I mean, it seems that we've come to a crossroads where somebody thinks they're more important than they are, and it's certainly not us here at the podcast.
No, not at all. But I want to thank Soundspace for coming on as a partner. Great guys over there. Nick is going to be on the show at some point. He's a wealth of musical knowledge. Maybe we'll do a hold up just a minute for our Patreon, and we'll review some of the albums of our past, right? Maybe a Smash Mouth album, Andrew. Does that sound good to you?
Well, I prefer Backstreet Boys.
We can do that too, but that's your chance to go to Patreon and hear those episodes. They will be coming down the pipe. I can't wait to work with Nick a little bit more. But again, Soundspace out there, guys. If you are looking to hone in your musical lessons, find them online at soundspaceatlanta.com. But Kyle, before we get started with kicking and screaming, back to the soccer, back to what we do best here. Kyle, tell me how your energy levels match today using cease and desist terms.
Ooh. My legal terms are varied and limited in scope and nature. This is more so a day where you've been having a really good time because somebody's been paying your bills. Okay, you're living your best life. Somebody's paying for your apartment. You haven't paid rent since you got your apartment. You haven't paid your electric bill, your energy bill, or anything. Come to find out that a previous owner went missing and you just stumbled upon their apartment. They've had auto pay drafted for forever and never got out of their account. But their widow, because they declared them dead, is now hounding you for $12,000. And you just received a legal notice from your lawyer or from their lawyer asking to speak to your lawyer or you about how you plan to repay those funds. And you had no idea that was happening. You just thought that you were kind of skating by unnoticed under the radar, but you're not. So if something's ever free, it's not free. That's the moral of the story.
Great. That sounds like our former partner in crime right now, crying about legal terms. Let's switch gears here. Let's talk about kicking and screaming a little bit. Kyle, I'm glad you're doing great. Andrew, we're going to start with you as always. What do you remember about kicking and screaming? This is 2005, so we're kind of more adults at this point, or like young teens, I guess. But tell me a little bit about kicking and screaming.
So we'll get into it, but I remember this, or at least my perception or perceived memories of this movie was that it was dirtier than what it actually turned out to be. I think this was one of my first like Will Ferrell movies that I watched from like start to finish. And like he had some other ones around that time. I believe Old School was a little bit before this, but when I was 12, 11, I probably hadn't.
What
watched
year
Old
was
School
Night at the
yet.
Roxbury? Because Night at the Roxbury, I think, was his first feature film that wasn't
yeah,
like, it was a full role. It wasn't like him just like making a cameo.
Yeah, it was with Chris Kattan. No, Night at the Roxbury was 98.
98,
That was
damn.
98. I'm looking it up right now. Yeah. Man, that's a ridiculous movie that maybe we should revisit at some point too. if we're being honest. But this one was, I don't know, it was marketed well from what I remember. People liked it. I believe I was in middle school when this came out. Or no, I was like in the fifth grade, I think. People talked about it at school like it was a funny movie from what I remember. But it was, yeah, it was an earlier exposure to comedic actor, comedic legend, Will Ferrell. And that's pretty much my lasting memory of it. I remember it being perceiving it to be a little bit more dirty than it actually was, but I remember it being fucking hilarious, and that was when I really decided that, oh yeah, Will Ferrell's my dude. I like this guy.
Yeah, because
So
it was like around the time, like in a 3 year span, you had Old School, Anchorman, and Kicking and Screaming. He kind of hit the ground running in the early 2000s, and that was his
yeah,
his blow up. Even though he'd been on the scene for a while, and he was hilarious in SNL, like SNL, like
oh yeah,
royalty. Like some of his skits in SNL still get me.
this was right around the time that I got into Will Ferrell everything, including his greatest, sketches from SNL. I used to have that on my, I had it on my PlayStation. I had it downloaded on my PSP that I would watch from time to time, volumes 1 and 2. Anchorman came out the year before, but I probably didn't watch that until I was maybe going into the seventh grade. So this one, Kicking and Screaming, was I think one of my first forays into Will Ferrell on the big screen. So
Yeah, and legendary Robert Duvall in it too. Kyle,
oh yes.
what do you remember about Kicking and Screaming? Did you watch Kicking and Screaming? Because you and I are the same age. We're a little bit ahead of Andrew, so I don't. This would have been like a family film to watch. But did you watch it, see it?
Yeah, it was a family movie. This is one that we rented. We didn't go see this in theaters, but it was a well-regarded, well-received movie. I remember watching it and thinking it's funny. My dad thought it was fucking funny. My dad loved Mike Ditka in this. That was like
Yeah,
his
hell yeah.
thing. I mean, like, which is like probably most dads, like, wow, Mike Ditka, funny guy, and that was his thing. I remember getting a chuckle out of it as a kid. Will Ferrell being, this is not his funniest role, but he's still funny in it. And if it wasn't him in it, it would not be funny. Done.
It'd be
Like, end of
terrible.
story.
We can go ahead and
no
say that
perfect
right
movie.
now. Anybody else, this movie would have been terrible.
Yeah, definitely. But it is like a movie that we had all kind of talked about on the podcast. Is one that it's soccer season. We should definitely do it. It's one that won't be a hateful watch, hopefully. And when watching it, I was just kind of reminded that like they kind of just really make a movie out of anything back then and put it up there. So back when comedies were a dime a dozen, you get a good comedy any year, and it's some of the stuff that is in this movie. It's not like a movie you can't watch these days, which is a good litmus test for like why don't we do this more? Well, I think we need a little bit more whimsical comedies like this. They're very low stakes, but they're funny stakes, and I was reminded of that watching it. It was good. It was good shit.
I remember this movie a lot because my dad had a pretty depressing job. He was a police officer, so he dealt with like a lot of real world shit. So this is a shout out to my dad. My dad was so excited to see this movie, and he loves a wholesome family movie more than anything. It's just because like it kind of takes his mind off of like the shitty world that he was like working in. And he explained it to me later when I got older that he was still seeing these movies, and I was like, you still want to watch these family movies? Why? These family comedies? And he explained to me, it's like it just kind of, it brings him a wholesome moment when he's used to like telling parents that their child is dead. And he's like, after you do that for a while, you need some good-hearted stuff in life, and you don't want to come home and watch a movie that's going to also remind you of the stuff that you go and work in. And that was a fair point. So we rented this. This was a DVD rental, too. This is when DVDs were kind of at their height. So we rented this, and Dad, I still remember watching this and being on the couch, and Dad just, like, laughing his ass off. Like, I thought he was about to, like, he had, like, coffee or something. I thought he was about to spill it all over himself. He was so, like, excited to see this. And to Kyle's point, I think this is a movie where they have a workhorse comedic actor that's just, how can he fail? It's Will Ferrell. Drive all the comedy through him and just put some background characters around him. Just let him work. And they kind of did that in this film. Andrew, did this movie make money, though? It is low stakes.
What do you all think?
I think it did reasonably well. I don't think it ran away with anything, but I think they made their money back because I remember seeing this at the movie store and it was like everywhere for a little bit.
Yeah, I think it made money. I don't think it made a ton of money, but it made something.
So it had a budget of $45 million, which honestly seems like a lot.
A lot.
I don't
That's
know if
a
you
lot.
agree. They
I would
probably
agree.
filmed this in Southern California, in
Absolutely,
like
on home
or like
stage for some
Orange
of it.
County, or like like Anaheim or like the neighborhoods there.
But this is
45
2005
million.
too, so I mean, like, I want to see the
Yes,
other
but-
comedies in 2005 because I know, like, most movies and action films were easily 100 million, easy at that time.
I guess, but there was no action. Half the film was either in a house, a backyard, or on a soccer field or a coffee shop. Like there was not much to it. So
Right,
45
yeah,
just
that's
seems
fair.
like a lot. And worldwide, netted altogether 56 million. So it made like $11 million.
Okay, that's
So not much. Like you said,
it
Jake,
made
you were
its money.
right.
but
did.
but that's
It
also not including DVD sales and rentals too. So we putting that in
No.
there. To Kyle's point, it probably made a little bit more than that. Probably made a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
Enough to where Will Ferrell said that this is his favorite film. It's
Really?
What?
Yeah, he talks about it highly because at the time his wife was pregnant with his first child, and while he was making it, he was inspired to do this family comedy because he thought, like, when his child gets of age, he can watch this movie with him. So, pretty nice little poignant thing he said. I really respect that. He went in with a lot of enthusiasm to make this movie, and he said he had an absolute blast doing it. There's not a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff here, other than they brought in Mike Ditka and told him to play himself, which is pretty evident here. And Robert Duvall said he had a great time with Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell improv'd a lot of stuff here. And
I'm sure.
the juice box line became one of Will Ferrell and Robert Duvall's favorite lines. They consider it an underrated Will Ferrell skit, is when he calls Mike Ditka the juice box guy, which we'll get to. But let's dive in. Let's see if this movie holds up. Andrew, you want to start us off this week and tell us where this movie begins?
It starts off introducing us to Phil Weston, who is Will Ferrell. We see him as a baby. We see him as a teen, and then he gets older and ages, and we get the sense that he's very unathletic. He's unathletic. He's not coordinated, and he just shouldn't be on any team, any sports team. He shouldn't be playing sports in general. I don't remember the entire sequence at the beginning, but the last bit was like he was I think he was like in early like college, and he was at like
they make
fields.
him. I had a problem with this because they make him unathletic, and he's on the track team as a javelin thrower in college. Like, did he get a scholarship? Is he a walk on? Like, there's no way that this man.
to me, that it came across as like late high school. And in high school, you have people on some of those teams that probably shouldn't be on there.
I guess I was jumping to the college, like a D3 college or something. I don't know. That's kind of.
It screamed high school to me, but Will Ferrell looked a lot older, so I guess college is what our minds went to. But he was on the I don't want to say the pitch, but I don't know, the javelin field, whatever you call that. He was trying to do the hurdle races, and he couldn't fucking do it. He ran into the first one, and then after that, he just started throwing him out of the way as he was running down the track, which was kind of funny. And then he got the javelin, and the coach was like, "You need to leave. You need to put that away. You're gonna kill someone." And he like launches it, and it almost hits this woman that turns out to be love at first sight. It's his wife. That's their little meeting moments. But you could tell Will Ferrell improvised so much because she was like, "How did this end up over here?" And he was like, "Oh, winds are bad, real bad." And she's like, "There are no winds." He's like, "Oh, over there." It was, you could tell he was just pulling that out of his ass. But yeah, that's Phil Weston. He's this dorky, kind of likable guy who eventually grows into a good family man. That's pretty much our little intro to Phil. Unathletic, but sweet and somewhat unassuming and just an ordinary, dorky kind of dude.
Was it Kate Walsh that played his wife? Who was it? What was the actress's name?
No. I don't remember her name.
I'll tell you.
She's in a lot of stuff, though.
She is. Give me 1 moment, and I will give you.
No. Now. Go.
It was Kate Walsh. Really, really good work there, Chase. You know your actors.
Yeah, I know my B-level actors really well. Kate, yeah, she was pretty good in this. She has a role, but she plays kind of like the glue to the family. But anyway.
We fast forward. We meet his father, played by the great legend Robert Duvall.
Great actor, my God.
Yeah, one of the best. So it's cool to see him in a role in a movie like this. But yeah, we get introduced to his character and their relationship fairly soon because I believe he's coming home to tell his father that he's proposed to his girlfriend, Kate Walsh. And before he can even get a word out, Duvall is like, "Hey, I'm marrying this bride."
Who's like 30 years younger than she.
Yeah. Will's like, "Who the hell is this?" And yeah, I don't want to keep rambling, so someone take it from here. But.
We get this established, like, and this is all setting up that before the title card. There's just competition constantly between Will Ferrell and his dad. Is athletic, cool,
His dad's a macho man.
A macho man, and Will Ferrell is very sensitive, empathetic. That's how they set this up, guys. It's very alpha beta kind of typecasting here, and Robert Duvall is just
beta.
Robert Duvall does not he just does not express love. He kind of expresses disappointment towards Will Ferrell, and anything Will Ferrell does, like he's getting married to Kate Walsh, and he marries this model act, and then they end up having kids at the same time, which is just, that's a conversation for another day, I guess. Like they just gloss over it, like that was like really funny. But yeah, he has a child, so his brother is now the same age as his son. So they set that up, and that's where we start. And then Kyle, the soccer comes into play, right? And that's where we get kind of like the soccer field. So what happens next? After we establish the lore to this family, what do we get?
We get Will Ferrell's son playing under his grandfather with
his uncle,
same-aged uncle playing on the team, who was played by a young.
There's only 6 sentences left in society now. Okay.
So, young Josh Hutcherson plays the uncle who is the same age of Will Ferrell's son. So hold mind.
And what's his name, Kyle?
Bucky.
Bucky. I just wanted to point that out.
And I want to say I've met Josh several times, and he is a wonderful person. Like I do want to make mention of that on this show.
He's a Kentucky boy.
He's a Kentucky boy. His whole family is wonderful, actually. So like I've gotten a chance, weirdly enough, to meet his mom, and she's one of the sweetest people alive. And his brother's amazing. Connor is incredible. So very good family there. And it was interesting I forgot he was even in this movie, and I was like, what the fuck is that, Josh? And yeah, sure enough, it's a young Josh Hutcherson. It was just strange. Very young, like 10 years old. It was strange to see. But sorry, Kyle, continue. So we got the soccer field. We got Bucky. We got his nephew.
So he's on the clearly very winning Gladiators team. But after the game is over, we come to find out that he's keeping the bench warm. He's not actually playing, because Grandpa doesn't see him as a good enough player to play, so he just warms the bench. And Will Ferrell's like, Dad, why don't you let him play some more? We're really hoping to get him some play time. He's like, well, why does it matter? He plays really hard. He gets a trophy at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. So you're kind of seeing that Grandpa is really all about winning.
Right.
Hyper competitive man. Will Ferrell is just not hyper competitive. Kind of like a little bit of a pushover. But he's starting to get to the point where he wants his son to do what he wants to do and to be able to play soccer. So he, after having an epiphany at home, one of the funnier moments happens in the
don't
the movie where
don't they find out too that like in the middle of all this that his grandfather transferred him to the worst team in the fucking league, the Tigers.
Oh, sure.
Traded him to the Tigers, who were. I mean, I think they were 0-1 at that point.
I didn't even know you could trade players in Little League. Like
you can't.
So
you can't.
he wrote the transfer paperwork like it's in the Premier League or something. Like he's sending them off for cash considerations.
LOL.
He was on loan to the Tigers.
He was on loan. That's
in
right.
The Premier League.
Oh God! And then so he finds out and he goes home. And Kyle, a really funny scene where his son is dejected because his grandfather traded him, which who wouldn't be, to the worst team in the league. So his son's kind of like head down, and Will Ferrell tries to pep him up. How does he do it?
Tries to have a pep talk with him that ends with him hyperventilating, and his wife coming up and she just cold clocks him right in the face. I don't remember what she says, but he's like, oh, she's like, okay.
Well,
it's like leave.
My favorite part of this whole scene is like the kid goes, "Mom, it's happening again," and then she runs in the room and punches him.
Clearly an iteration. Yeah, she just open hand, full body, rotates to the hips, smacks him on the fucking cheek. It was grand. Instead of like a
brown bag or something else, she just punches him in the face every time he starts hyperventilating, which leads to the next day. He goes to the first Tigers practice or game. I think it was the game, but he shows up. He shows up with his son. And he's basically saying to his sons, like, you get to play a lot more now. You get to actually be on the field. That's fun, though, right? Like, you get to have more fun. And he's like, yeah, but we're losing, and losing's not fun, according to grandfather. And they show up, and there's just this field of misfits. Well, we're going back to the big green on this one. Like, it's
even more pronounced.
Yes.
Like, truly, like, when you say misfits, that's putting it lightly. Like, these kids don't give a shit about soccer. They're just there because their parents are making them get out and exercise. They don't give a fuck.
You've got a tall kid named Ambrose who's like huge and wears an AC/DC shirt when they get there to try to make him feel edgy. You got Byeon-sung, who is like 2'5".
Little Asian kid with glasses.
That's been tiny. Adopted by a lesbian couple. And a couple of them are SNL cast members too. I can't remember their names right off the top of my head. But.
Well, the blonde woman in that relationship, she was Stu's wife in The Hangover. Yeah. That's where I knew her from.
She's been on SNL a little bit too. Yeah, I forget her name. She's a great actress.
She's a really good comedic actress. We should share her name in a second.
Yes. Look that up, Andrew.
I will look it up right this second so we don't just refer to her as...
Right. And while you're doing that, and then we have a kid that eats a worm. And
Rachel Harris.
Rachel Harris. That's Harris. That's right.
Yeah.
How could we forget Rachel Harris? Excellent. Yeah. Like,
no.
And you got a kid that eats a worm and all this other stuff. And I can't remember the reasoning, but they get there and they're waiting on their coach, and the referee comes up. He has a mental break. Doesn't he have a mental break? They make a joke about his mental break.
They make a number of jokes about it, more to come, but we don't exactly know. He's just not there. He's gone. He's left, and they don't know why.
Is it one of their jokes later that, like, it's actually really serious? He's been missing for several days.
We'll talk about it in a second, but there's a little luncheon for the league the following night, and Duvall cracks someone. He's like, I heard he turned into a woman, or something like that. And Will's like, this is actually really serious. We don't know where he is, and people are worried. He says it with his like perfectly deadpan Will Ferrell response,
and everybody's like laughing
on you.
But apparently the coach has had a mental break and doesn't show up, and none of the parents want to coach the team, so they all step aside and they're like, okay, well, you guys are gonna have to forfeit. And Will Ferrell, just being the kind-hearted human he's like, I'll coach them so they don't have to forfeit and they can play. And he's like, all right, get out there. And they absolutely get their shit rocked, right, Kyle?
No, they get fucked up, 13-0 or something like that?
13-0, baby. They get their asses torn up.
My God. And then, they had to call that one early. And I think it's the who are they playing? Are they playing the Gladiators?
They're playing the Gladiators. It was the Gladiators. Yeah,
was it?
That was their first game. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Bucky had like 12 goals on his own, but
something like that.
They get absolutely ransacked, and Will Ferrell's just trying to keep the team together. He's like, all right, good job, guys, good job. And then him and his dad have this competitive back and forth, and you can kind of tell where this movie's going. And the whole philosophy around this movie is competitive parents and putting winning above everything else. Like, we know it's there; it's pretty obvious. This movie's not going to be the most philosophical thing you ever see, but we get to a point now. Will Ferrell goes back home, and he's kind of getting more dedicated to being a coach. And Andrew, what happens next?
Well, I believe this is where we get introduced to Mike Ditka, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yes, the pool party.
They're in the backyard of Buck, which is DeBall's character. They're in his backyard like 60% of this movie, it feels like.
Yeah.
But we're introduced to Ditka as he is using his leaf blower to clean his yard, and the leaves are spilling all over into Buck's side.
This is such an asshole move.
Yes. Mike Ditka is, he played himself, but like he did pretty well for this role, if we're being honest. Like Mike Ditka is a character. Mike Ditka is himself, is someone that is entertaining. You don't have to play it up. He can just be himself, and that is good enough. And we got Mike Ditka, the real Mike Ditka. Minus probably some choice words and other things. But yeah, we get introduced to Ditka. He's exactly what you think he is. Him and Buck hate each other. Phil makes note of this, and that comes into
play pretty quickly because he realizes he can't coach. He's like, I've never coached anybody before. Like, let me go get Mike Ditka as my assistant coach. And he's talking to her in this scene in Mike Ditka's study, and he's like, will you come coach with me? He's like, be your assistant? No, God, no. And he's like, well, we'll get back at my father. And he's like, I hate that old man. I'll do it. I'll get it back to him. And he's like, pulled a cigar out. And his wife's like, Mike, are you smoking again? And he's like, no. Are you sure I smell smoke? He's like, you don't smell anything. And she comes in there, and he hands the cigar to Will Ferrell. And he's like, see, he was smoking, honey. And she grabs the cigar out of his hand. He's like, we do not smoke in this house, Phil. And he's like, oh, sorry.
Shame on you.
Sorry, Miss Ditka. And he like instantly takes blame for it. He's like, sorry, Miss Ditka, won't happen again. It's a filthy habit. And then Mike Ditka's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll coach with you. Just like completely threw him under the bus. And I wanted to make mention, too, that Mike Ditka does an incredible job in this movie for someone who's never acted before, who doesn't have any acting chops. I know he's playing himself, but that is still hard to do on camera.
It is. And like I said, it's not a character. It's not something that he studied. It's himself, but himself is good enough. It's entertaining enough, and I think he deserves some kudos for that.
Yeah, because look at all the actors that can't play themselves online. It comes out as very like robotic. And
Space Jam.
Oh
let's
go
to Space Jam for a second. How many of those athletes just fucking suck?
Yeah, and Space Jam 2 with LeBron, like, oh my God. They'll talk about a cease and desist letter. We'll get one from Spotify if we start talking about that. But moving forward here, so Mike Ditka agrees to coach the team and shows up with Will Ferrell the next day. I think, was it practice? Was it a game? I can't remember. We get a lot of null and void here. This whole movie is about us waiting until the next Will Ferrell meltdown or Will Ferrell comedy sketch. There's a lot of filler here, won't you say, Kyle?
Yeah, for sure.
Things that we can skip past, right, Chase? Because it is just
we're pretty much like 30 minutes into the movie now. So they show up at practice. Mike Ditka's wearing his Bears vest, his signature look that he had on the Bears sideline. He's automatically really tough on
sunglasses. Yeah, he notices right away that they're losers and they don't give a shit, and they need to be I don't want to say whipped into place because, we're talking about kids here, but they need to be pushed and forced to do something out of their comfort zone.
See, and
that
Andrew,
is exactly what Ditka was there for.
And I will say this, Andrew, if I've learned anything from the Big Green, it's not that they need to be pushed or trained in any way. Something needs to be added to the team, which we're about to get to.
Oh, yeah.
But before we do,
Yeah.
I gotta talk about, like, Kyle, if you had a rec league soccer team and you were trying to give them some sort of motivation, would you give them a bunch of birds to take home?
Primarily, yeah, like some big birds of prey. No, of course I fucking wouldn't. That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I say all this because at one of the practices or like after the game, Will Ferrell gives
After a game, I think.
Yeah, he gives them all like caged finches, and he's like, each of you get a finch, and it'll teach you some responsibility and leadership. And I was like, how is that gonna teach them leadership? So he gives them all a finch. And we flash forward, and they're at the league party. I don't know why they're doing a halfway point party or something of the league. Like, it's definitely midway through the season or early enough in the season where you didn't have to do this. And they're at the party, and the parents are, like, talking to Will Ferrell. And he was like, why'd you give my son a bird? And he's like, okay, you got me. The finches were a bad idea. And I hate to break it to you, but some of them may have salmonella, so I may have inadvertently poisoned your kids with salmonella.
Poison your kids.
That line alone gave this movie a lot of life.
It was so stupid, but the minute he brought out those bird cages, and there were like 12 of them in like a giant box, and just so casually said, I got you all some pinches. Like, I lost it. I was like, this is, I don't want to say it's vintage Will Ferrell, but it was so in line with some of the characters and sketches that he did on SNL. Like, it was just, it was vintage. It was vintage Will Ferrell. Like,
yeah.
it was. It was the random shit that you wouldn't expect just out of nowhere. And we got that. We got that with the finch bit. So I'm not upset about it by any means.
I laughed my ass off at that. I thought that was so fucking funny.
Also, one thing that we didn't talk about that did make me laugh. Kyle, what does Will Ferrell do for his job? What is his vocation?
Phil's Pills.
I don't remember.
He owns a vitamin shop called Phil's Pills.
And his dad owns a sports store where he says, I've got balls.
Bucky's Sporting Goods or something like that. But the Phil's Pills, it's so simple and so unintelligent. It made me laugh. I must admit that made me laugh.
It was good because it gave Robert Duvall a chance to say he's got pills and I've got balls. And so
balls, yes.
But we're back at the party now. That was a good point, Andrew. We're back at the party now, and this is where he introduces Mike Ditka to the league that he's assistant coach, and everyone's like taking notice of it, including Robert Duvall, who's pissed off that Mike Ditka is just coming to coach to get at him. And at one point, him and Ditka get into like kind of a heated conversation, and I think it's Mike Ditka that goes and swings and misses Robert Duvall altogether and hits Will Ferrell in the face. So Will Ferrell goes back home, and he's got a bruise on his eye, obviously. Like, it looks like he's got a big shiner. And this was my dad's favorite line in the whole movie, and it's still pretty funny to me. But he looks in the mirror and goes, I just took a punch from Hall of Famer Mike Ditka, and I did not go down. Yeah, I wobbled a little bit, but I did not go down. And my dad used to laugh so hard at that scene. And then his wife comes over to him, talks about how she doesn't want to hear about the soccer anymore, and then he starts crying because he's like, I just took a punch to the face and it hurts. So he starts having a full breakdown about it after just like standing on high ground that he took a punch. But this is at the point now where I talk about Big Green because this is where it happens. And I remembered it in this movie, and I was like, yeah, just any American soccer movie with misfits. You got to go get some international players, right, Andrew?
You got to get some kids with brown skin or tan skin or something that isn't inherently white.
So, and Will Ferrell's having a mental breakdown, all this, and crying in front of Mike Ditka, and he makes him drink coffee. I don't know why coffee's the beverage of choice. He's like, it's the drink of winners. It calms you down. And I was like, no, it doesn't. It does not.
They really push the coffee on him, and it's important. It's very important.
Right.
But to your point, coffee doesn't. Okay, so I do think coffee calms you down, but I think you have to get to a point where you're drinking it consistently. It's like taking vitamins. If you take vitamins for a week straight, it's not going to do much. You got to build it up over time to feel those effects. It's the same thing with coffee to get to that plateau, that level where it is a calming beverage.
It's still
you
caffeine.
have to do it for like months. But there are people that I know that use coffee to like caffeine to go to sleep.
That's
so what the level they're at. So I get what they're saying here, but for a newbie like Farrell, it's not going to be a calming beverage by any margin.
I instantly thought of you, Kyle, when he was like, it'll calm you down. And so you give this manic, stressed individual coffee, and he starts drinking it like 24/7. We're not talking about a cup or two a day. We're talking he is drinking everything and at all hours.
He had like 3 shots of espresso within 30 seconds. That's going to send you through the fucking
You're going to be
roof if
my
you did
God.
that on any day.
Not
I
only,
got anxiety watching that.
Yes, I did
got
too.
anxiety watching that.
And then while he's drinking his coffee, he takes him. He's like, well, what do you suggest we do for the team? He's like, we go get meat. And so they show up at this butcher shop run by this Italian man, and we know he's Italian because they make it really clear he's Italian.
Obvious.
There's the Italian.
Yeah. Nice job, Andrew.
I will say this man does speak actual Italian in this film.
He does.
So it's not a stereotype. This man is Italian, and his wife is Italian. There's a white guy working in the shop too, but they just over-Italianize him. Like he's got an Italian flag, and this is where the stereotype comes in. He's like, meat is number one. He's all about his meat business. And they look at him, and Mike Ditka goes, is your nephews here today? And he's like, yeah, they're working in the back, child labor. So you go in the back, and there's these 2 10-year-olds working to cut meat, and he's like, they're my apprentices. And they're playing with this ball of paper, and they're showing off their soccer skills, because that's what they do in between cuts of meat, is they show off their soccer skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will Ferrell talks about them. He's like, why don't they come play on our team? Like, they need an outlet or whatever. And he's like, no. They learn English, and they do meat. And he's like, well, they can learn English on the rec league team. The whole shop talks the grandfather. Is it father? It's not the father. It's the grandfather. Or no. It is their uncle. So he talks the uncle into letting them play soccer. Now the kids don't speak English, and they speak Italian. So I was like, okay, well, there's a problem. But they let him play on the team. But he's like, remember the number one rule, and none of you, if you watch this movie, will forget it. Meat is number one. That's the
meat comes first, baby.
Meat comes first, and that is said.
Which it does. I mean, when I hang out with Andrew, his meat usually does come first.
No wonder we got to cease and desist.
Why don't they want to be a part of this project together?
Chase, didn't you have a lot of meat in your mouth when you first called us?
I did. I'm vegetarian too.
Thought so. Yep.
So, what happens with the Italian kids, Kyle, when they get to the first game? What happens when they show up?
They clean up. They clean the fuck up. They mess everybody up. They're like the stars of the show, and they fuck shit up. I don't know any way to say it. Like, they fucking get it.
I mean, it's like I said, we're at the Big Green. You get you a bunch of international kids, you're gonna win every game apparently. So, and
hey, I want to take this moment to point out that Italy didn't make the World Cup.
I was about to make that same point, and that's a big one too.
I think they're tied with Germany for the most World Cup wins, like World Cup championships.
Brazil has the most, and then I think Italy is number 2.
Right.
But
yeah, it's Brazil was 5, Germany, Italy was 4. Yeah.
So,
but go on.
Yeah, Italy is a proud soccer nation. I know they're going through it because you're such a great soccer country. You should at least qualify. That should be
those stupid blue kits. That's what it is. Yeah. Their country colors are red, white, and green, but they chose to make their kits blue. I guess it has something to do with some royal family, but.
It has a lot to do with that.
We do have Italian listeners, so we are sorry that you didn't make the.
I don't hate Italy. I just wanted a moment there to pour on.
So our friends in Italy, we're rooting for you for 2030. We know you'll make a comeback. But anyway, so you get the Italian kids. Maybe these kids will play for you. I mean, they wouldn't. They'd be in their 30s now. So these kids are really good. And so that sparks the Tigers to go on a winning streak. And Will Ferrell's come up with this brilliant game plan. What's that game plan, Andrew?
To drink a lot of coffee and get competitive.
And
Isn't
pass
that what it is?
pass the ball to the Italians.
Oh, pass the ball to the Italians.
They don't
And
even.
drink
He doesn't
coffee
even
and-
say the kids' names. He says pass to the Italians.
Oh, he just kind of refers to them as like little puppets to do his bidding so that he can win games to eventually, hopefully, compete with his father. What? That's where this is going? What?
Oh my God! Who
Oh,
saw
who
that
would've thought?
coming? And Kyle, during this span of coffee drinking and competitiveness, what happens to Will Ferrell? I want you to describe what he becomes.
He becomes the thing that he hates, but like in an unrecognizable form because he has not. His father's not like that to a certain degree, but he becomes like slowly but surely like one uniform like tracksuit man. Where at the end, like over this progression, this montage, like he becomes more and more aggressive. He is getting more and more coffee in his system. He's becoming like he's a gum chewing, red blooded American who is absolutely one tracksuit away from being an Italian.
But he also essentially just becomes his dad, too, which was what they were going for. He essentially just becomes his hyper-competitive dad who doesn't have a care in the world about anyone else.
Just a more
unless they
expressive,
help him win.
a more expressive, yeah. And
His father would not have a handcrafted copper espresso machine on the bench.
which that made no
on the
sense.
pitch.
Is like, are you? That's a very expensive machine. That's probably like a $30,000 machine. Like, where's he getting the funds for this?
That made me laugh. It
Do
made
you
me
think
laugh.
it's $30,000 for that espresso machine?
I would. It would be pushing it, Kyle. It's for sure over 10,000
Easily.
For
Yeah.
an espresso
Easily.
machine? That's crazy.
Yeah,
That giant one, yeah.
and it's
that is-
it's copper plated, and like copper
Copper, yeah.
plated espresso machines are like more than some people's houses. It is insane what those machines go for. It's staggering, actually. So he just has that big machine. I was like, where is he getting the money to invest in this? And I would, if I was his wife, I'd be more concerned with that than his competitive nature. But we get a couple of scenes here during this montage of them winning, where there's one scene where the lesbian couple shows up without the Italians. Apparently, they were the ones that were supposed to pick them up. And he's like, where are they? And they're like, well, meat comes first. And apparently, they had a big meat order that day. And Will Ferrell will not stop at anything to win a game. So he sends his whole team to work at the meat shop so that they can cover this order so that the Italians can play in the game, which they had 20 minutes to do this, and they were able to accomplish all this. And they show back up at the field and get off the meat wagon, and they're all covered in blood. And that causes the other team to forfeit, which is funny. He's like, hey, one of my kids left his shoes at home, so we're going to have to forfeit. And then he starts running, and he's like, okay, everybody get to the car, run, don't look back, let's go, run to the car. And I was like, all that effort just to like this whole scene just for the team to forfeit, whatever. It just kind of seemed like a waste of time because the scene wasn't really funny.
Sure was.
It wasn't even funny until the coach started running away. When the coach started running away, I was like, okay, that kind of saved it a little bit, but it wasn't that funny. And then we get another scene where Will Ferrell goes off on Mike Ditka. And this is the famous scene that everybody still kind of quotes to this day. It's become one of Will Ferrell's
Juice box.
quotes.
He starts it off by he's saying something like he was saying something about like physically attacking the players and like you need to get down and dirty and like break a few legs or something. Like Dick is like, I don't think that's the kind of values you need to be teaching these kids. And he goes like, why don't you go get me a juice box? All right, why don't you go get me a juice box boy? And he's like, I'm not getting you a juice box. He's like, that's all I hear from you right now is you're just a juice box boy. Go give me a juice box. So good.
Yeah, he calls it. And then my favorite part of the scene is Mike Dick is like, well, fuck you, I'm leaving. Like, I've got Super Bowl rings, I'm out of here. And he starts leaving. And then he was like, he looks at the kids, and he's like, everybody wave bye-bye to Mr. Juice Box. Wave bye-bye to Mr. Juice Box. Like, and then he turns around to the kids, and he's like, no, physically wave, bye-bye Mr. Juice Box. And I was dying laughing. I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that scene being really funny. And Will Ferrell, like, apparently improvised this. So this is just him being Will Ferrell, and it is great. It's still funny. My dad loves that scene too. He loves to quote that all the time. And like I said, this is all in a montage of the Tigers going on a winning spree. We get another scene where he's playing. What sport was that again, Andrew? In the backyard with his dad.
Tetherball.
Tetherball. Yes.
Tetherball, baby.
So he's playing tetherball with his dad in the backyard. A sport I've only played maybe once or twice in my entire life. I haven't played a whole lot. Kyle, did you play it in Ohio? Was that a big Ohio thing?
Oh yeah.
Were you good at it?
I'm sure Andrew did too. We had one.
Oh yeah.
We had one on our grade school's playground back in the day.
As did we.
I'm sure they don't let you do it anymore because I'm sure a kid tried to hang himself or something from it. But
There's
used to.
not a whole lot of tetherball in Alabama, but I did play it a couple of times.
Shame.
Yeah, I played it a couple of times. It was fun from what I played, but
it's fun.
I didn't have very many opportunities to play. But what happens in the scene, Andrew, when he's playing tetherball with his dad?
He gets his ass beat by his dad. His, probably mid-70s dad. At least he looks mid-70s in this one. And it was about 20 years ago. So, yeah, Duvall would have been probably like 75.
He's still alive, or he died?
No, he died. He died back in like February.
That's right.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, he was old. He was like 90-something. Yeah, so this was.
He was like 90. He was 96, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, he would have been about 75 at this point. But, yeah, he beats the shit out of his son. But Phil, excuse me, just kept wanting to go at it. He's like, no, give me another chance. And he'd get up and he'd whack it, and then he'd miss and fall over, and then his dad would hit it and it would whack him in the face. He got bruised really badly and was a complete and utter mess. But yeah, he got his ass beat. Long story short, he destroyed him.
Yeah, and then I think at this point they make the bet because the Tigers have made the championship game, or it's around this time.
It's around this time. Might have been prior, but regardless, it doesn't fucking matter. It happened. So they make this bet. Phil is very cocky at this point. He's hyped up on caffeine 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is his drug of choice now. But the Tigers are, I think they're one game away from the semifinals at this point. I don't even think they've made the semifinals yet when they make this bet, but they're surging. And
I think they're in the semis, and he's like telling his dad that they're going to make the championship game and play the Gladiators.
Yeah. And his dad's like, all right, don't get ahead of yourself, son, but I'll hear you out. I think the bet was if the Tigers win, then Buck has to surrender his Pele ball from the soccer player, Pele from Brazil, in case people didn't know that. And if the Gladiators win, then Phil has to close up shop and go work for his dad at Bucky's Sporting Goods. I'm pretty sure. That's right?
Now that you nailed it. Kyle, there's a flashback scene, too, and how his dad got the Pele ball. Do you want to tell the listeners how he got the Pele ball?
Pele is set up for a penalty kick, and he shoots and overshoots the top of the goalpost, goes into the crowd. Will Ferrell, as a young boy, catches it, but his dad takes it from him and is like, you'll get the next one. You'll get the next one. And that's like, what a prick. What an asshole.
He wouldn't even give it to his own son. And so he has a display for the Pele ball.
His own son got it, though. That was the thing I was even like, damn, that's ruthless as fuck. He got it, and then you're like, no, give it to me. You'll get your own. It's mine now, though.
It reminds me of all the Major League Baseball cringe moments where you see like somebody take a ball, like a home run or a foul ball from a kid in the stands. And it's just cringe, dude.
No, just do us all a favor. Kill yourself.
Jump off the back of that stadium.
Get out. That's not what this is about.
Yeah, it's just a ball. Calm the fuck down. Like, I've never understood the over-passionate dads out there that want that ball more than a child. You've lived for nothing is what it sounds like you've done. So they made the bet. Guess what? They both get to the championship game, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And guess who's not there? Guess who's not there? This is important.
The Italianos.
No. They are there. There's someone else who isn't there.
It's his son.
And this is kind of, yes. Will Ferrell's essentially done a 180 here. You know, his son rode the bench when he played for the Gladiators with Bucky. He gets traded, And Phil, was like, I want to play my son. This isn't right. Yada, yada, yada. The whole crux of this was to be there for his son, be his coach, get him playing time, have a father-son moment, but he has done a 180, become his dad, and his son has been riding the bench through like most of this winning streak and just defeats the purpose of everything he set out to do. And his wife and his son are pissed. They don't even show up to the game.
They
They're
do
not even
eventually.
there.
They eventually show up,
They
and
do.
and his son is wearing street clothes. And then he's like, "Why is he in street clothes? Why is he wearing his gear?" And his wife is like, "Well, he's here to support his friends, but he doesn't want to play for you." And that kind of sets him straight. That kind of hits him in his feels a little bit. And the Tigers are kind of getting their ass kicked because Robert Duvall has figured out, because he actually knows how to coach and knows the sport. So he actually pretty much reins in the Italians the same way Spain rein in Messi. Just kind of put them in a cage, and they're up, I think, 3-0 at half.
3-1.
Yeah,
It was 3-1 at half. 3-1 at half. Yeah.
3-1 at half. And at half, this is where Will Ferrell has his big transformation moment, or he pretty much goes back to what he is. He apologizes to his wife. He's made this tiger pantsuit that is kind of awesome. I'm not going to lie. His wife says it looks awful, but I was like, I'd totally wear that. He takes that.
You would, Chase.
Yeah, you're right. I would. And
I'll do drugs.
Yeah, no, I would. Like coffee. I'd do the drug of coffee, which is like, they treat that like meth in this movie. And he destroys his.
That's what it is.
He destroys his $30,000 espresso machine, which I was like, no, don't.
Espresso machine.
You could have sold that, you dumbass. You didn't have to break it just to make a point. And then he comes back to reality, and he looks at his team, and he's like, we're going to play everybody again. And then they give the Italians a break. They sub them out and then sub them back in, which, can you do that in Little League, Andrew? Or is it still the same soccer rules?
No, once you're I think Little League's probably a little bit different. They don't follow the same guidelines as the professional game, but he subs out the Italians and then he puts them back in at the end of the second. But if that were, Premier League game or even an MLS game, they'd be done. So.
Yeah. But anyway, they do it, and he lets everybody play, and they do like some weird trick plays. Ambrose gets a goal. Will Ferrell's like celebrating his team and apologizing to the coaches. There was one family member too that got a little carried away because he was like carrying the Italian flag and learned Italian chants.
Giant Italian flag.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like one of those like Camping World flags you see outside their establishment. It was that fucking big.
It was a massive eyesore. It's like, why are you like devoting your entire personality to being Italian now because your team is winning in Little League? And it's Ambrose's dad. But Ambrose gets a goal. Byung-sung gets a goal too, which I don't think you can do.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
It was Bing bong.
Bing bong. Yeah, Mike
didn't talk about that.
His name is Bing Bong. God.
You remember how that happened though? He starts giving this autograph, and one of the moms goes, his name's Byung-sung. Do you know how to spell that? And he goes, I think I got close enough. He pulls it back and says,
Bing bong.
Good luck, Bing bong. I got a good laugh out of that.
So Mike Ditka, though.
So Mike Ditka.
I guarantee Mike Ditka would do that in real life, too.
And Mike Ditka's watching the game from his yard. I don't know how, but he's like using like a hyper-powered binoculars. And when Byung-sung scores, he's like, Bing bong, yeah. And so he gets a header on top of Ambrose's shoulders, which I don't think is legal either, but here we are. And we get down to the final goal. I think it's tied, right, Andrew? 3-3?
Yeah, they stage a comeback. Pretty great.
And then we get
fun.
We get the square off between Bucky and Sam, which we knew we were going to get at the beginning of this. And Sam puts on a pretty sweet move and scores the winning goal as time expires. The ref calls a game right after the ball goes in the goal. So I guess they were well into stoppage time. And the Tigers win without having to ride the Italians the whole game.
Yeah.
We get Phil back. Phil Weston is now the empathetic soul that he was before, apologized to everybody. And we get a little brief moment that was kind of funny between Bucky and Phil, where he's like, hey, bro, good game. And it's like this kid talking to his older brother. And he's like, I'm not blowing smoke up my ass. And he's like, don't you mean you're not blowing smoke up my ass? And he's like, I'm not good at these things. Just take the compliment. Walks away, and it's delivered real well by Josh Hutcherson, but it's like a
Good job, Josh.
Good job, Josh.
So this is like 8-year-old Josh too, so even more props, you know. Good for you, buddy.
You could tell some of the acting chops he had early on. So,
Yeah.
and then Robert Duvall's character comes over and starts talking to his grandson, and his grandson's like immediately puts his head down and goes, "Sorry, Grandpa." He's like, "Why would you be sorry? Like, if anybody's going to beat me in the championship match, I want it to be you. I'm just mad that I let you get away." And actually has a very wholesome moment with his grandson. And Robert Duvall is such a very subtle but great actor, because there's actually a scene here that's really well acted for a family comedy that's kind of got a bunch of throwaway stuff in it. As Sam is about to score the game-winning goal, they cut to Robert Duvall, and he goes from being angry to he gets a subtle smile on his face, watching his grandson do this incredible thing. And I was like, wow, that's like an incredible scene and well done by Robert Duvall. It's the subtlety of it where you can see his character changing too, and they didn't have to tell you it. With Will Ferrell, he's going through and doing his apologies and all this other stuff that's like very over the top. I've turned a new leaf kind of thing, but they do it so subtly with Robert Duvall, and you just don't see that very often in those type of films. Bravo to that. And Will Ferrell gets the Pele ball, and he gives it back. He's like, I didn't want it. I just, it felt good to beat you. I didn't need that. And he's like, well, maybe there is something you want. And then what happens, Kyle? What wraps this movie up?
They look deeply into each other's eyes, and they embrace mouth to mouth. That's not actually what happens.
You must have watched the director's.
It ends with a pool party, or a party of some kind, if I remember correctly. And they're all cutting it up, having a good time, and like no hard feelings with anybody. They all love each other. And it closes on a commercial. It opens up because the Bucks Got Balls commercial's on, but there's a new addendum to it. And it's Bucks Got Balls and Phil's Got Pills or something like that.
Yep.
Fucking dumb.
So now they've joined their stores together, and then we close in a happy ending. The family's getting along better than ever. The lessons were learned. Andrew, we started with you, so Kyle, I'm going to switch it back over to you. How do you feel about watching Kicking and Screaming as an adult?
It was fun. It was a good movie. It's not Will Ferrell's funniest, but it is funny, and it hits the themes it needs to hit of, winning. Winning is good. Winning is fun. We shouldn't tell everybody they're winners when they're not. But you got to have fun trying to win and winning. And it's not everything that you need to be, and it can't be your identity. And it really kind of spoke to me because I had some really amazing childhood experiences with coaches. My dad was a coach. He coached me through stuff. He was a coach when our soccer team won the state championship in 2003, I think it was, 2004, something like that. But I also had some really shitty coaches. It's like I've had shitty coaches throughout my life, primarily in high school, but also a couple in grade school where it's just like, hey, can I do the jump off ball today? No, this is for the real McCoy today. We're not doing that. That was an actual quote that one of the fucking dads and had told me, who was coaching the basketball team, because he wanted his son to get it. And it was like, it's those kind of things where it's like, does it really fucking matter? We're not playing for keeps. Nobody's going to be on a fucking professional sports team. Nobody's going to do this in fucking high school. Really, you got to find the fine line between that. And I think this movie does a good job of kind of painting that picture while also letting it be a central theme, but not hitting it over the head and making it funny, enjoyable.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Andrew, what about you? How do you feel about it?
It was funny. As I said at the beginning, I thought it was a little bit more vulgar. To my surprise, it really wasn't. It was pretty tame, but it did its job. It was funny. It was very simple. Honestly, there's not much meat to this movie at all. And if it weren't for Will Ferrell, I don't know. Well, that's not to discredit Ditka's performance or Robert Duvall and all his subtleties, as you pointed out. But Will Ferrell is what made this. So if you take him away, he absolutely carried it. So it was a cute little film, some actual laugh out loud moments though that I had missed. Like I said, some vintage Ferrell moments, some aspects of his comedy that you don't see nowadays. It was early stages of his career. But honestly, Kyle and Chase, I don't know if you've seen this movie, but I felt like this Phil Weston character was very similar to Alan Gamble in The Other Guys.
Yes,
he has
that's
a
a good
that
point.
propensity to
Ambiance.
absolutely snap and be a monster, but his real self is this quiet, unassuming dork who's very like mousy and well kept. It was essentially young Alan Gamble, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and Will Ferrell plays either the really nerdy, dorky characters really well, or he plays the over-the-top, trying too hard to be macho characters, characters that Kyle would play really well. Yeah.
There's no in between. You got to go to extremes with Will Ferrell, but hey, he delivers with those.
He does. I really enjoyed this movie, but it's still kind of a middle of the road kind of film for me. It was funny enough through Will Ferrell to where I didn't hate watching it. That being said, the Will Ferrell funny moments are still kind of stretched out. It's not one of his...
Few and far between,
Yeah, it's not one of his better movies. And Andrew, you kind of nailed it and made me think about this. His character of Alan Gamble is way better, and other guys is way better. So it's like he had better performances later on, like with Step Brothers. Yeah. So it is one of those Will Ferrell comedies that get lost in the mix. And if you're in the mood for something Will Ferrell, it's not one I'm going to say put to the top of your list. If you have kids, that's going to be the big deciding factor. If you want your kids to kind of get a taste of Will Ferrell's humor, this is a perfect movie for them. There's nothing vulgar to it. It's a very wholesome family film, and it works in that tradition. But at the same time, it's funny, but it made me also just want to watch other Will Ferrell movies. Not because this was inspiring. It's just because I got a little taste of Will Ferrell, but I was like, man, I'd rather watch the other guys. Yeah, I'd rather watch the other guys or some other films.
Which, I know we're sidetracked, but I think the other guys is the last great Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah.
That was the last time he teamed up with McKay.
I know that he has a new comedy called Hawk on Netflix. I don't think I'm going to be watching that anytime soon. It seems like a Pappy Gilmore, and I don't really need that in my life. But, Talladega Nights came around shortly before this. I think Talladega Nights was 2004, right?
Hold on. I'm going to look that up.
It's either 04 or 06.
Year after.
I thought it was later than that. I thought Talladega Nights was 2005 or 6.
Yeah, so it was the year after.
Okay, so year after.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was
a busy guy, man.
It's easy for me to say. So I'm going to start us off. This will be the first time I start us off. I'm going to say it holds up, but again, there's going to be better Will Ferrell movies out there. It's a good family comedy for some young children, and I think the parents can watch this and get something out of it and have fun with it. It's not going to blow you away. It's not super laugh out loud funny. When it is funny, it is really funny, but it's sparingly, like Andrew said. Andrew, what about you? Does it hold up?
I'm going to say that it doesn't hold up.
Oh, and did not think you were going to do that.
That was my immediate reaction after I finished it. And it was more of I don't have any desire to ever watch that again until I have kids that are like 7, 8, or 9. You know what I mean? I was like, I have no reason to touch this. I have no reason to turn this back on. I wouldn't want, to be honest. Yes, there were funny moments, and it's not a bad movie. It was just one of those that there wasn't much meat to it. It was pretty plain. You knew exactly what you were getting, and maybe for its consistency there, it deserves a little bit more. But again, my reaction, and that it was a pretty strong reaction, and the feeling of I never want to watch this again until I have kids that are of age is what pushes it over to the doesn't hold up side. So
okay, fair.
Yeah.
Kyle, what do you think?
No, it holds up. It's not like, again, I think we're forgetting something about Will Ferrell's funniest movies that we're not really talking about. And there's an elephant in the room for me. And that is like Will Ferrell's greatest comedic moments in all the movies that we love were all directed by who?
Adam McKay?
Yeah. This is not directed by Adam McKay. I wouldn't even put Elf up there as one of the funnier movies from Will Ferrell. I would put Elf above this, but not like...
Oh, I'd put it way above it.
Not above... I wouldn't put, not way above this, because then it would have to compete with the other guys, with Step Brothers, with Anchorman. I don't think it does. But This is
I think it does.
You think Elf? Wait, hold on. You think Elf compares like on the same level with?
It's very close.
Step Brothers?
I don't think it's quite at that level, but it's one small notch behind.
I'm going to start a fight
and,
here. I think Elf is one of the most overrated Will Ferrell movies out there.
Okay, I'm not going to even entertain that.
That's what I said. It was but we're not talking Elf. We're talking Kicking and Screaming.
Which is why I want to say, I don't think it's fair that we compare this to some Adam McKay movies. This was him being like, yes, the star of the movie, like the thing the glue that holds it together. But in my opinion, that is what a compliment that we all gave him earlier when we said it wouldn't be a movie without Will Ferrell in it.
Yeah.
This is not it. And at the end of the day, if this was on FX or whatever, I would watch this over many other things. Many other things. I don't disagree with Andrew. I don't know if I would go ahead and pick this up right away and watch it again anytime soon. But I don't know. Like it hits on a lot of different themes and it executes well. We're not going to sit here and say this movie was a bad movie that did not hit the themes it hit and did not have a good start, finish, end. It didn't linger too long. I don't, again, disagree with Andrew, but I think not holding up is a bit harsh, but I don't disagree with why you said that.
It is harsh.
So
it is harsh. And like I said, that was just more of the ultimate strong feeling I got after watching it. And I should say, when I say it doesn't hold up, my delivery was harsh there. It's so right on the cusp for me. It is so there. And I'm pretty sure there have been other movies that we have reviewed in the past that have been the cusp and I lean towards holding up that
last week with The Rock. The Rock was that kind of thing, that same feeling for all of us. And I think we all three said it held up, right?
Kind of. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I believe we did.
So, but I'm with you, Andrew, because I'm in a different space in my life. I don't have children. So I try to look at them as if I had children because I think that does change it a little bit. But I don't particularly enjoy family comedies. I don't want to seek them out. And to me, usually I say they don't hold up. Usually I'm going to go that route. But because Will Ferrell actually made me laugh and entertained me in this, and to a movie franchise I hate family comedy so much that I actually got some enjoyment out of it. That's why I went hold up on this one. But I do agree with you, Andrew, and I don't think you're wrong. I think that is a pretty good fence to be on. But what would you give it in an IMDb rating?
Probably like a 5.8. So like just under that cusp, maybe a 5.9, 5.8 is what I'm going to go with. So
I'll give you the 5. I'm going to give you the 5.9. I'm going to give it the same as I gave The Rock. Kyle, what would you give it?
Probably a 6.4.
Okay. And Andrew, what is it actually on IMDb? Do we know? I'm sure it's in the 5.
It's 5.6.
Okay. All right. So we're not far off. So very middle of the road film. Not really beloved. That about wraps it up for Kicking and Screaming. You know what we do around here. We reach inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out. Today we pulled out Kicking and Screaming and the 2005 Will Ferrell comedy. Found out it's funny, and 2 of us think it holds up, so maybe something you should catch, but there's some caveats to that. Maybe if you have children, go watch the other guys, honestly. The other guys should be a top of your list kind of thing if you're going to go catch some Will Ferrell comedy. But, Kyle, what are we doing next week?
We're going to find out if life finds a way to bring us back in time to go to the future, but also stay in the past. We're going to look at Jurassic Park 3.
Jurassic Park 3. That was so beautiful, Kyle. This is for Sam Neill, R.I.P. Sam Neill, one of our favorite actors on the show.
R.I.P.
We're going to dive into Jurassic Park 3, the often not talked about Jurassic Park, and we're going to see if that holds up. So join us next week. In the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Follow us on Patreon now. Get some extra content if you want.
Chase.
Go ahead.
Let me know if we need to do anything, if I need to do anything regarding that cease and desist letter from our friends over at Kirkland.
Just stop shopping at Kirkland Signature Series brand, everybody. But in the meantime, we'll see you all next week as we look at Jurassic Park